For 90s fans, this is a must get. However, for Marvel Legends collectors, is the 2026 Spider-Man Blister Retro Card Wave Cardiac really necessary? In this review of Marvel's Cardiac, we're going to be looking at this figure overall. And why am I looking at so late when this thing released in February of 2026? Simple. I waited the long game and I got this for $26.50 Australian at end of financial year sales. And this is one I wanted for a long time, one that was announced last year that I thought I'm guaranteed going to get this. And a spoiler is I'm not disappointed, but for what it is a little underwhelming. So let's have a look at the packaging. It is on the 2026 Spider-Man blister card on that 90s style. You have the cardiac art on the front, the big Spider-Man logo, much like the animated series. On the side, nothing because it's a blister card. On the back, you have a bio, and you have legalese, and you have his fellow wave mates, which are Spider-Man 2099, Uncanny Spider-Man, which is Nightcrawler from the Fall of X storyline. You have Spider-Venom from the Venom War storyline. You have the Owl, who is a Daredevil villain, and you have the Hypno Hustler. Quick little bio from the back. Dr. Elias Wortham transforms himself into the vigilante Cardiac to avenge his brother, exacting justice against evil corporations that skirt the law. Don't know what skirt the law means, but that's their choice of words, not mine. But I didn't really know much about Cardiac. He's had not that many appearances in the comics overall. The last time he had a major storyline appearance was back in 2014 in the early issues of Superior Spider-Man, and recently only making a variant cover appearance on Superman Spider-Man. So before I do size comparisons at the end of the video, I like to do one at the beginning with the packaging, right before I chuck it. And these are the figures I have chosen just to compare Cardiac and the packaging with. We have the reissued Build-A-Figure, the Deluxe 2026 Abomination. We have the 2025 Build-A-Figure Scourge, the Executioner. We have Maverick from the Strong Guy Build-A-Figure from 2020. And from 2024, we have Red Widow on the Shriek body from the Zabu Build-A-Figure Wave. These guys should be in the team in the comics. They look awesome together. All 5 of these unique designs. I love the colors. Looks awesome overall. This is definitely the early 90s Cardiac design, where it's visually just looks futuristic as armored vigilante compared to a traditional hero. His suit is predominantly in this dark, deep blue and bold white sort of kinetic energy. These lines running across the legs and the torso. It looks awesome. It creates the impression that there's energy flowing through his body. Definitely love the armored up shoulder pads. Looks really good overall. They are a separate piece that is connected to the arm socket within the body, which, yeah, separate piece. They will not hinder. They're flexible. They look great, and there's no butterfly joints there, because if they were, you wouldn't have these shoulder pads, and they'd probably be a very brittle piece. I'm fine with not having butterfly joints for this guy. I'd sacrifice that for this amazing aesthetic and sculpt that the Hasbro Marvellegends team has gone for. Brand new parts, however, I do think the arms are possibly Vulcan reuse just because of how smooth they are, and because it's that same idea where there are glove cuts, so I feel like they could have easily just changed them out and put them on this body just to save a little bit of money. But nonetheless, the details are amazing throughout. There's no blue going into the white and white going to blue, no paint bleeding. The pearlescent white looks really good, even in the legs, like the double jointed knees, right? They're not blue joints, they're white joints, plus they match with the knee pads. So the entire body with all the sculpt lines, it just looks great. It feeds through. So the aesthetic doesn't get broken up overall. But there are points of articulation that we will discuss soon that it definitely needs. Okay, so now I want to get to a big point which has kind of struck debate when this figure was announced. Should Cardiac have a nose or not? So you can definitely tell with some of the reference I'm going to include that they've kind of gone for a modern take on Cardiac, head sculpt wise. However, body wise, shape wise, 90s. Why the head sculpt with the nose? Realism. With this Spider-Man blister card line, a lot of the comic figures have this inkjet printing on the faces, and a lot of the mask characters have started to get these little intricate details. But not just that. Since the inkjet printing, a lot of the figures have started to look more like people, real people. And that's the whole gimmick they were going for. So they fit in with your MCU collection as well. They look cleaner, they look greater than they were before. Hammerhead, for example, who started this whole inkjet trend, looks like a real person. That's the thing. If you have a mask character, you want as much detail as possible for the retail value that you're going to be paying. However, I think Cardiac looks amazing with his head sculpt overall. And definitely 90s, he had a flat face. Didn't like it personally. I love the raw raised details where it actually looks like a man underneath the mask. And you can see inspiration from especially the Superior Spider-Man storyline as to where this raised nose detail comes from. These are some reference images that I was able to find for Cardiac just from a variety of comic panels from Amazing Spider-Man, Spider-Man Unlimited, Wolverine, Nightwatch, just a few comics that Cardiac was part of in the 90s, and at the end Superior Spider-Man once again. Would have loved a modern version, and especially looking back at this, I wish this Cardiac figure had a port on his back for his staff, the Beta staff. So we have some pretty straightforward accessories with Cardiac. We have 2 grabbing hands. In the packaging, he came with 1 grabbing hand and an open hand, while he also comes with a fist and another grabbing hand, and one of these energy orbs, which can plug into the hand, and also onto the Beta staff here. And it looks like a staff that you could probably use for someone like Gambit, or if you have a DC figure around like Robin, I think this could easily work as well. The hands are cast in a pearlescent white plastic, with the fist and the openish hand having a horizontal hinge, both the grabbing hands having a vertical hinge. The Beta staff is in a simple just plastic, silver plastic, with no wash. I wish it had sort of a bit of a detail wash, like a black wash. And the orb, there's only 1 orb. So in the packaging, it looks like there's a lot. There isn't. It's a standard amount of accessories. I wish it came with 2, but I will make note that this orb actually has a bit of a white splash of paint on both sides. It is a bit weird to assemble. You have to get the ports aligned properly in the holes. Otherwise, it looks a little weird. You can definitely see the seam line of where it connects. Definitely ruins the form of what it's meant to be, which is an energy effect. It can plug onto the forearms, so it looks like he's punching someone with an energy effect. But overall, it definitely needed even sets of hands. It needed 2 open hands. It needed 2 fists, or 1 set extra, such as 2 fists, 2 open hands, and then the grabbing hand. It definitely needed 2 energy effects as well. If you wanted to get a small light put in this energy orb to give Cardiac that effect, if you want to plug in his hand, I'm here shining a light on the orb. It definitely looks really cool, and if you are interested in doing that, here's an example of how it could work. Okay, so for articulation, he has neck movement. So he's on a dumbbell joint rather than a neck peg, which means he can look up, not particularly far down, pretty decently. His head can tilt side to side, and he can do a full 360 rotation. Now, the butterfly joints, there are none. His arms can do a full 360 rotation, can do a little above a T-pose. Double jointed pinless, however, because of the pouches / pockets on his arm guard, they do hinder the articulation a bit, and the hand I've got on there has a horizontal hinge. So does the fist and the grabbing hands for the staff, and other accessories you may want to partner with Cardiac have a vertical hinge. So in terms of then the torso articulation, this is where the problem is. Diaphragm joint that twists a full 360, can go side to side, not particularly far forward, and a little bit of back. But we need an inverted ab. There is no inverted ab here at all. It could have easily been added and not broken up the sculpt to a degree that's going to affect the look of the action figure overall. So that's really the big disappointing part of this figure. In terms of his legs, he can almost do the splits. He can't kick back. He can go really far forward. He has thigh cuts, but they are a bit hindered. They are a bit stuck because of the pouches. So do keep that in mind. He can twist them the full 360. Double jointed knees. Again, it's hindered by the pouches. There is no boot cuts either. That's another point that's a bit of a problem, which is that there are no boot cuts. And I'm not willing to fix it because I don't know how the pouches would go back overall. But apart from that, it's basic Marvel Legends articulation. It's a little disappointing for a brand new sculpt that at least I would have loved an inverted ab. I understand the boots, but the inverted ab would have made this so much better. This is one time that you can't argue aesthetic over articulation. Cardiac is standing at 6.5 inches, which I think if you're one of those people for scale and for trying to represent comic figures in 1/12 scale, he comes off a little short compared to a lot of characters who should be shorter than him. Just keep that in mind. Okay, it is officially size comparison time. We're bringing back Scourge the Executioner, the Abomination, Maverick, and Red Widow to start our cardiac size comparisons. Next up, we have some of the leading ladies of Marvel's villainy. We have Amora the Enchantress. This is an all-new pinless version from the Scourge Executioner Build-A-Figure Wave. We have Madame Mask in her all-new, all-different attire with her classic mask from the Amazon Supervillains 2-pack. We have Titania from Secret Wars Wave 1, and we have Lady Deathstrike from the Supervillains Wave 1 Zemnu Build-A-Figure Wave. Next up, like all MCU fans, we're hyped for Spider-Man Brand New Day, and why not we chuck this anti-hero with one of the villains who's going to be in this film, Scorpion. This is the retro card version in its bright greens, definitely the animated style, and we have Chameleon from the 2025 Spider-Man Blister Card Wave that also came out at the beginning of the year. Now, I'm filming from one of my displays. This is sort of my Masterminds of Marvel. It's a few miscellaneous ones here and there. Here we have Dracula from the Black Art Wave, Doctor Doom from the Super Skrull Wave. From the Wendigo Wave, we have my second favorite Marvel figure of all time, Mr. Sinister. From the Supervillains X-Men 5-pack, we have Strife. From the Fantastic Four Blister Card Wave, we have High Evolutionary. And we have from the SPDR Wave, Doc Ock, who I think is the best Spider-Man villain in action figure form. And to make room for Cardiac, I had to move out two figures that were part of this display, which were the Red Skull and Kang. We also have here for unique sculpts, Shocker from the Spider-Man Blister Card Wave of 2022, and from the same Fantastic Four Blister Card Wave, Psycho Man. Cardiac may have underdelivered in articulation, but these guys underdelivered in articulation and aesthetic. Here we have Wealth by Night and Dark Avengers Spider-Man version 2, Iapek, both from the Scourge Build-A-Figure Wave, which you can find in the Marvellegends playlist at SFIGUREREVIEWS. For an animation and MCU comparison, I have here Doctor Strange and the Spot. Doctor Strange I have here because Cardiac's last official appearance in the comics was in Jane Foster Valkyrie, where Doctor Strange recruited him to help with a mission. And Spot I just added because he looked good with Cardiac. Now, I mentioned earlier that technically Cardiac's last appearance was a variant cover, Superman Spider-Man. So keeping Spot here just for a bit of variation in the size comparison, I have here the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Action Comics 1000 Superman, aka their first Superman, and Maximum Series Spider-Man, which you can kind of tell even though Superman is 1/10 scale, 7 inches, you can clearly see that Cardiac is a bit small. Even though it's a brand new sculpt, and I'm really happy about that, he's definitely undersized when compared to Spider-Man and the Spot. Cardiac isn't going anywhere, neither is Maximum Series Spider-Man, and I'm bringing in the Rhino. This thing has gotten re-released so many times. We just need a new one at this point. It's gotten about 5 reissues. But why have I got these 3 characters together? Amazing Spider-Man, 344, these are the 3 characters on the cover, and they look really good together. For our miscellaneous other company size comparisons, here we have the Batman the Anime Series Season 4, New Batman Adventures Joker. We have the DC Multiverse Mattel Kyle Rayner Green Lantern. We have from Star Wars Hasbro Black Series, Greg the Carbonized Stormtrooper. And we have Blocky's Elmo, along with the J Toys Scooby-Doo Wave 1 Creeper, and the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Platinum Edition Injustice 2 Brainiac. For the final comparison, here we have the Owl, aka a Daredevil villain, and we have the Hypno Hustler on the same card as Cardiac. And I have Tarantula here because he is the pinned version of the Spider-Man 2099 Sunfire body, which Hypno is using but pinless and with new parts. And these figures are not Spider-Man, the only ones I've picked up from this wave. Now I think it's time to chuck Tarantula out and give you my thoughts on this wave. My final thoughts on this wave are this. In terms of the sculpt, the budget went all to Cardiac. That's including the Spider-Man figures, who I probably won't be picking up. The case that you have to also make is, are they worth retail? I don't think so, but one of my New Year's resolutions was, get them while there's a sale. And in Australia, there aren't particularly that many sales on these guys until Christmas, or there's very few that are on sale during end of financial year, which there is one, it's typically figures that released at the beginning of the year, like these. Articulation-wise, they're all flawed. And if you do want to hear my thoughts on the Owl and Hypno Hustler, please go check them out in the Marvel Legends playlist at SFIGUREREVIEWS. I have reviews for the Owl and Hypno Hustler. But I'm going to give you my final thoughts on all three of these, which are who's the best in terms of value-wise. And it's going to shock people. I think it's Hypno Hustler. Simply because it's more accessories, but also the Sunfire body has decent articulation. Though the best part, which is the butterfly joints, are not in this, he's got enough new parts, and he's pinless, and he looks cool posed up. Whereas Cardiac is missing those articulation points as well. The Owl isn't particularly great, but he looks aesthetically pleasing, and he's not really one posable character, so he'll fit in fine. And he's another Daredevil villain to add. Hypno Hustler's a Spider-Man villain, cool. Cardiac, he's the one that's kind of, you have to figure out where to put him, because he's not a villain, he's an anti-hero. Yet, Cardiac's stuck in comic limbo. He hasn't been added even as like a guest star character for a long time. Again, 2019, Jane Foster Valkyrie was the last time he actually had an appearance, apart from the Superman Spider-Man variant cover. All three of these, if you're a new Marvel's Legends collector, or a must-have everything collector, will work perfectly in your displays. Are they necessary? No, not really. These are the three that I picked from the 6. If you had to pick 3 from a wave of 6, these are the 3 I would pick. That's because they're villains that I'm interested in, and I'm not really into those Spider-Man variants. At least there isn't a Build-A-Figure tied to this. So, final thoughts on the Marvel Legends 2026 Spider-Man Blister Card Retro Card Wave Cardiac. Is he necessary? No, he's definitely not necessary. He is a great add-on to your collection, absolutely. But is he necessary? No. He may be amazing sculpt, but he does have flaws. Is he the best of this wave of figures? Some may say he is, because he's brand new parts, and people are happy to have him. I'm thinking no. He's either figure 2 or 3 of the wave. If I'm going to factor in all 6, some people may say Spider-Man 2099 is, because it's on the new Val's body. I'm going to say, in the 3 I picked up, Hypno Hustler is the best. However, Cardiac's my favorite. Hypno Hustler, value-wise, is the best compared to Cardiac. Though Hustler is new parts and old parts, Cardiac could possibly be old parts of the arms. I just think you can't escape the fact he should have had boot cuts. He should have had an inverted ab. Even a small bit that I only mentioned once. He should have had some sort of hook or port in his back for the beta staff. I think that would have looked badass. But no, we don't get that. Sure, we get decent accessories. Sure, we get that Powerball effect, which we have to assemble. I think we should have got 2 of them as well. But the great thing about this figure is it's simple in design. It's clean with the blue and white. Nothing's just bleeding into each other, which I'm very happy about. But definitely he's a great figure overall. My final rating for him is a 7.5 out of 10. So the Owl I gave a 7. Hypno Hustler I gave an 8. I'm giving him a 7.5. But could he be a top 10 contender? It's your choice. Really, what you think of this guy. I think he's a great figure, but depends on who I get later down the line. And I still can't get over the inverted ab thing. I just can't. It's inexcusable. I love the head sculpt. I love the fact he has a nose. There's that little realism element that I discussed earlier. But I definitely really enjoyed Superior Spider-Man and the part that Cardiac played in that storyline. So I'm all for this look. So that's my final thoughts on the Marvel Legends Cardiac. If you like this content and you're needing a second opinion that's not from the ones that's flooding your algorithm, then come here to S-Figure Reviews. Like, share, subscribe. No memberships, nothing like that. I'm a small channel. I've only just started this year. And those little actions will really help my channel grow and help me get noticed in YouTube's cyberspace. Thanks for watching. This has been S-Figure Reviews. And this was the Marvel Legends Cardiac.